Friends, when we talk about travel, I know a lot of people are no longer traveling by plane, and I get it. Let me know if you think some of those earlier incidents that happened at the airports and in the air were somehow connected to restricting our travel, our ability to move freely. I was one of those in the early days that was really protesting against these pat downs and, of course, the naked body screening and all of that. And I will tell you right off the bat that I personally do not go through those scanners. The scanner, I'm going to show you a picture, that is different than the metal detector. So I covered some of this. Actually, let me share my screen. I did a video for you some months ago, and this was back talking about the biometric scanning of your face, your eyes, and so forth. And here's the thumbnail. It was called Facial Recognition for Air Travel Raises Privacy Concerns. And I will have a link for you. There's us right now. Actually, here is the one I wanted to share with you. The facial recognition rolled out at major airports. I did that exactly a year ago. And so it's time to revisit that. Now, let me show you a picture of what I'm talking about when we're looking at these scanners. So you've got, I think you've probably seen this. And also let me know, do you have any idea how much these cost? Yeah, I think there's something to this as well. So these are the scanners. You go in and then it's like, you know, put your arms over your head like you're some kind of criminal. So you've got your arms up, like, stop, don't shoot, right? I don't even like that posture. It's such a posture of like, capitulation to authority. Ugh, it turns my stomach. I just can't do that. So that whole thing is weird. Like if it's x-raying you, why would you need to raise your arms? Can it see through your arms? You have to have air under your armpits. So guess how much these machines are? Well, I read that they're around $190,000 for that machine compared to the scanner when you put your luggage through. I read that's about $30,000. Guess how much the metal detector is? I'm going to give you some remedies here in a moment, but let's take a look at this metal detector, shall we? Oh, this is what the naked body scanners do. They tell you that, oh, we don't keep the pictures. We're just looking, hopefully you can't see anything, but this is what apparently they see. Oh, first of all, under what guise do you think that I am a threat? Just because I'm traveling. So here they are again. You could see many pictures, but the ones that I wanted to share with you were just the regular, like these kind of just a walk through airport scanner. And I read that these are about like, you know, $3,000. So, I mean, look at the difference in the cost. So it's quite bizarre in terms of the cost. And then you probably remember back in the day that those scanners were also connected to somebody in politics, some public servant who was invested in the company, and then those rolled out in all these airports. They're not in every airport. I don't even think they're international. So it's so strange that they implemented that. Well, it's not strange. It fits into their narrative in terms of terrorizing you, making you be afraid every time you fly that there might be a bad guy on the plane with you. That's why they're patting down Granny in the wheelchair, because, you know, she's the one that's going to be the threat. Of course, it makes perfect sense, you know, or a 7-year-old girl. Yeah. Are you going to let her be groped by the TSA agent? Hey, I had some healthy Americans that are TSA agents. I'm not coloring a broad swath, but I am saying that those are constitutional violations, because unless you have a warrant stating that you have some evidence or reasonable belief that I am a threat, that I'm a dangerous person, you don't have a right. That is search and seizure of my own body. So yeah, my body belongs to me, and you are searching and seizing my property, and I do not consent. So I'm going to tell you what I do instead, and let me know what you do aside from not flying. There are times when people choose to fly. It's more convenient, faster, so forth. So there is something where you can avoid taking off your shoes. Yeah, remember why you have to take off your shoes? Yeah, because the shoe bomber. It's a thing. Absolutely. You can walk around with bombs in your shoes. They don't go off, apparently, which is so clever. And so you can walk around with the bombs in your shoes. And let's keep in mind that the whole shoe meme is actually a meme. I'll have to do a video all about the kind of symbolism of shoes and why people mentioning shoes pops up a lot in these very realistic mass events that happen that we should never question, which, by the way, I'm going to be covering this assassination of the CEO of the United Healthcare next week. I'm still gathering my clues and evidence, and I'm just telling you, it stinks, okay? Things don't add up as they usually don't when we are presented with this kind of stuff, and I will break that down for you in a few days. But this whole shoe meme is very strange. And the fact that you have to take your shoes off to make sure that you don't have any explosives in your shoes, because you can walk around with explosives in your shoes. I'm sure you can. So thank God, and I mean that, the good Lord above, that you don't have to take your underwear off, because there was the underwear bomber. Of course, you can have bombs in your underwear and they don't go off. Everybody knows that. So that's what ushered in all of these excessive, unnecessary, egregious, illegal, unlawful, unconstitutional, unthinkable, immoral, and bizarre restrictions on our travel. There were lots of videos. Now, keep in mind, when this first was rolled out in the early 2000s, something or other, we didn't have like live streaming like we do now, right? We didn't have, I don't think YouTube came on the scene until 2004. And then, Facebook and Instagram much later. Cell phones didn't really have video cameras and all that. So it was more difficult to capture the footage, unlike now, where now there's signs all over the airport. You can't film, because in the early days, people were filming as they were being groped and harassed and basically sexually assaulted. I'll just put it bluntly. So a lot of people spoke out against that. Unfortunately, it didn't get a lot of traction, as I say, because social media didn't really exist like it does now. So here is what has evolved over time. There still are the metal detectors, like the one I just showed you, a simple frame that you walk through to detect whether or not you have any metal. Now, unfortunately, that can detect whether you have, I guess, metal in your body because you have an implant or a pacemaker or something in your tooth or what have you. I have gone through that where my sometimes the belt buckle sends it off, or the zipper on your jeans or something. So you can still go through that metal detector, and that's what I do. So I have what's called TSA PRE-CHECK. I know, I've sold my soul over to the federal government. You know what? They already have all that info, especially on me. I'm sure there is a file this thick of all of the things that I've been doing in the last few years. So you know what? I'm just going to make the best of it. And what you can do is you sign up for the TSA PRE-CHECK, and I'm going to show you what that gets you. So we'll hop over here. It's a government agency, and here it is, TSA PRE-CHECK. And you go to tsa.gov. Now, I do have a funny story to tell you about TSA PRE-CHECK when I was trying to enroll in it. And basically, you go in person, you fill out some information, and you pay some money. And how much is it? $100 and something, 70. Here you are, $78. All right. So that's pretty darn good. And I think that lasts you for a few years. And what you get with the TSA is you don't have to take your shoes off, because everyone who's in the TSA PRE-CHECK does not have explosive devices in their shoes. It's proven. So once you pay your $78, you're good to go. And you have that like background check and so forth. So I brought my documents to the TSA office, and of course, I have a married name is different than the name I was born under, but my passport is my married name. And the woman was trying to tell me that I needed to show a court-ordered name change from my maiden name to my married name. I'm looking at her like, are we speaking the same language? What are you talking about? All of my documents have my married name. I've been married for going on 30 years. I have a passport with my married name. I have a driver's license with my married name. Everything is in my married name. So why in the non-spinning world would I need to spend money and go to a judge to get an order showing that he ordered my name to be changed from my maiden name to my married name. The whole thing was ridiculous. That is bureaucracy at its best or at its worst. I think it's the same. So my husband's like, stop arguing with her. You're never going to get through. She doesn't understand. Let's just go to a different TSA office. In the meantime, I actually called the TSA. And I'm telling you, let me know if you've ever called the federal government. If you've picked up the phone and you've called the government. I've had conversations with people from the FDA, from the CDC. They actually answer the phone. It's unbelievable. I can't even get someone on the phone from Verizon or YouTube, but I can get somebody on the phone from the TSA. And I asked the very nice English-speaking fellow, what's the deal with this marriage certificate and a court-ordered name change? She said, that's not in our regulations. Just bring your passport and fill out the paperwork, pay your money, and you'll get your TSA number. So we go to a different TSA location, and I'm ready to tell the agent, look, I've researched this. I talked to the TSA. I have all my documents, and I go in, and the weirdest thing, you guys, it was where they do testing. It was like I guess the government rented the same small, like a little hole in the wall, nook and cranny place where they did, drug testing and other stuff. It was kind of strange. And I'm like, am I in the right place? I'm not here to get any testing, if you know what I'm talking about. And I think you do. So sure enough, there's a little TSA desk, and the woman takes my info. She starts typing it in. And this is a word to the wise. Let me know if this has ever happened to you. I start launching into what happened to me, and like, oh, and I've got all my paperwork, and you don't have to have the court. My husband's like, cut it. Stop saying that. Just let her do her work. She wasn't even listening to me trying to explain that I knew how the TSA pre-check worked and that my paperwork was in order. She's just typing away. She says, put your thumbprint here, and here's your money, and here's your TSA number. So a word to the wise, learn from my mistakes. Just start from scratch. Don't talk about everything else you went through. So I got my TSA number. It's called a known traveler number. At least they're not tattooing it on me. KTN, I think that's it. Known traveler number or known traveler something. And that goes on when you're booking a flight. So here are the advantages. Number one, you keep your shoes on. Number two, you can even keep your jacket on, because when you go through the other line, you have to take your jacket off. You have to take your hat off. I don't know if they let you wear a hat or not. And I've had things like where I'm wearing a sweater. They're like, take that off. I'm like, no, this is what I'm wearing. I mean, it's so strange. Like, anyway, I thought these scanners could see through everything. But when you go through the TSA pre-check, you keep your shoes on. No body scan. You go through the good old-fashioned metal detector. Who knows what that does, but I'm certain it does a lot less harm than those X-ray, whatever. And they try to tell you that it's a different kind of X-ray. Yeah, of course it is. We should believe exactly what the government says. We've been over this before, everyone. So it's usually a shorter line. So you've got a shorter line. You've got keep your shoes on. You've got keep your jacket on. And you've got go through the metal detector. It's brilliant. And I think it's fantastic. And I think they had to do that, the government, because people were just pushing back. And before I had that, I never went in the scanner, and I would go through the personal groping instead, which was despicable. And that's why I ended up doing the TSA pre-check. But it's not like I have flown a lot, especially in those previous years. The other thing that my Healthy American, in fact, I wanted to let you know, she wrote me this letter, and I'll tell you about how you can avoid that biometric scanning. So she said, dear Peggy, as ever, thank you for all your selfless and very needed work. You are so welcome. She says, I'm humbly grateful to be able to help support your work by being a Healthy American supporter. I'm so grateful. All y'all who are a supporter as well financially, we've got our monthly webinar. It's coming up. We're doing it now the first Saturday of every month, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. I always have a fantastic guest speaker, and sometimes I'm the guest speaker. And we always interact with you live, and we answer your questions live. And you have wonderful interactive chat with our Healthy American extended family, which I know that you would love to, and I hope that you are a part of. And you can get all that info, email support@thehealthyamerican.org if you have donated and you think you should be invited. and because we would love to have you. She says, I'm writing today to ask for your guidance to go through airport security and decline the x-rays and the other invasive checking methods. She said, I understand in some airports, they are doing your eye checking. I'm going to talk about that in just one moment. I know travelers have a right to decline these and to ask for alternatives. But how do I say it? And what sources to have as a handy backup in case I encounter a TSA employee who is not well informed about passengers' rights? Maybe you can direct me to a specific video, or you have other sources. I'm traveling this Saturday. Now, that is cutting it a little close. I don't know that she's going to get her TSA clearance by then. I think that it does take a little time, but this is good news for traveling in the future. So if you didn't get your TSA, you still can decline the scanner, and you just say, opt out. I opt out. You can also say, no, thank you. You can say private screening. Now you have choices. They can do your screening in public. You're standing right next to the scanner and they pat you down very invasively. And it's just humiliating. And in my opinion, completely necessary. So the other option is they can do it in private. Now, that's kind of weird too. I've always opted to do it in public so that if anything happened, other people will be my witnesses, if you know what I mean. Because if you're in a private little booth and they do something, like I wouldn't want that to happen either. Now, I'm going to up the ante for you a little bit, just because I'm the healthy American. What I've done, and this is years past, before I got my TSA pre-check, and they were groping me. One time, I started singing God Bless America. Another time I recited the Pledge of Allegiance. I know some of you don't care for that, but I was trying to make a point. And then another time I recited the Lord's Prayer. And I did that very loudly. And that was my way of kind of protesting to what they were doing. So it's that weird thing where you don't want to upset them too much, where they actually do the screening more forcefully, if you know what I'm saying. And there are also times when you go through the scanner, which I never have, but I've seen people go through the scanner and they pat them down anyway. How do you like them apples? Them are pretty rotten apples. So you simply say, I decline, can't go through that scanner. I need a private screening, or I need a personal screening. So that's what you can do. The other thing, this will take a little legwork. I don't have the resources and time to do it, but you could research where these screeners are. And it's possible that at smaller airports, they just have the metal detectors. I'm not saying that's the case, but it's something that I would certainly look into if you don't have time to get the TSA pre-check. Now, let's talk about something else that happens if you're in the TSA pre-check or not. They are implementing these facial recognition, biometric face readers, all right? And I did fly recently, and I told you this story, and I'm going to share it with you again, and I will leave a link for you to the video about how you can decline this. Understand this, it is voluntary. They're not going to tell you it's voluntary. And I see people, just like they line up to get out, line up, don't ask questions, just line up, don't ask questions. Well, these people, just one after the other, I mean, thousands of people going through this, they hand over their ID, they stand, right? So you've got the TSA agent here, then there's a camera. You're talking to him here. And then people like dutifully, they have to actually move over in front of the camera, and then it's scanning them or whatever. And the agent says, oh, don't worry, we don't keep your pictures. Well, I don't care whether you keep the picture or not. I'm not having my face scanned. I am not participating in that. So you say, when you hand that over and they say, step over here, you say, no, thank you. They didn't like it when I said, no, thank you. The one woman said, what? And I said, no, thank you. And she said, are you opting out? I said, yes, thank you. She wanted me to say the words opt out. And just because I'm kind of a contrarian, when people zig, I zag, I'm not going to say opt out. I'm going to say, no, thank you. Or I decline, no consent. Get whatever phrase you want. If you want to say I opt out, that's fine. They never tell you, like verbally, and it's not posted visibly, that you have the right to opt out. It's voluntary. So I think that's the other thing I said. I said, no, thank you. It's voluntary. She didn't like that at all. And wouldn't you know, it was the strangest thing. I had to actually go out and come back through because I forgot something. Had to come back through screening again. So I went to a different agent and the same thing. I just said, no, thank you. And he kind of looks at me and I said, I'm here to keep your job. Because these people are going to be, it's all going to be AI if we don't stand up. This is why I never do self-checkout groceries either. This is why I do my banking in person. I know maybe I'm swimming against the current, but maybe, just maybe, I can stay a couple of steps ahead of the lava flow that is coming our way to consume us all. At least I'll know that I didn't participate in the facial scanning. Whether it does anything to you or not, that's not the point. I just don't want you to do it. There's a person who can very hopefully, confidently and effectively look at my ID, look at me and see that it's the same person. Why do I want a machine doing that? So no, I say no, thank you. It's voluntary. I'm not participating. I'm going to pass on that. Those are all the different phrases that you can say. So that's what I have for you. And one other thing I want to tell you that I'm not going to do, and let me know if you have done this. And I see people doing this as well. And this is what's called the Clear. I think it's just called Clear Plus. So now Clear, which has this logo, which is all sustainable, green, Agenda 2024 and all that stuff, the little dots. I just don't care for that. Get to your gate faster with Clear Plus. So it's basically, as you can see, this is what it is. You go, you step up there, you verify with your face, your eyes, your fingers, and then an ambassador will bring you to the front of security for your screening. So I'm not going to do that. Does anybody do that Clear? Am I out of bounds? Am I making too much out of it? I don't want to interact with these machines. Look at that. I take a pass on it. That's just me. I pass. What say you, friends? Do you fly? Blue Fairy says they scan your eyes and your irises are even more unique than your fingerprints. And she also says they act like you have to do it. I don't really go to Walmart per se, but I heard that when you go in Walmart, they're doing it already. Let me know if that's true or if you've heard of that as well. KK says, Peggy, that's right. I'm like honey to the people, and I warn them about the robot future. Hugh said, I said no to taking a photo at the airport in LA, and the worker tried to pressure me and said, at least 4 entities took your photo by the time you got here. And Hugh said, well, that doesn't make it right either. That's right. And I don't consent to that either. But at least here, when I'm faced with it, there's something that I can do. It's like people saying, well, I don't want to choose between the lesser of two evils. I would rather have less evil. I don't want to have more evil. So I get what you're saying, but at a certain point, you just do the best that you can. And then who says he looked at me, I looked right at him, and he got my message and stopped this nonsense. Yeah. I really don't care for any of that. And I know that it is coming. And I remember years ago, this is like, it had to be about 15 or 20 years ago, long time ago, back in the day, I belonged to 24-hour fitness, and you had a card, right? And you just would, in the old days, you signed your name, nothing wrong with that. And then you had a card and you showed the card. Then you had a card that was scanned. You see, it's incrementalism. So they get you used to, sign in, show your card, scan your card, and then guess what they did? Fingerprint. Now, I admit this is back in the day when I was not as awake as I am now. And I did kind of feel like that's not right, but I just didn't. I should have stood up against it. And I really wanted to go use that pool. So I capitulated. This is a long time ago, but it still stings today. And that is probably why I'm standing up so strongly against these other things, because you feel like, oh, it's just this one time. I'll just use the checkout this one time. I'll just do the self-checkout. No, I'm going to stand up as best as I can for as long as I can. And I do think that it is changing somewhat. I mean, we have the TSA PRE-CHECK. Of course, they have all your info. They probably have it anyway. So it's hard to say, are they just trying to make us feel better? Like they are rolling some things back? I really don't know. Michael says, my older brother just bought a used Beechcraft Bonanza for $30,000. He flies from Lake Tahoe to Reno 3 days a week. Yes, flying private would be fantastic. And I also believe that it is really about restricting our movement, right? We talked about a few videos ago about all of the traffic calming techniques like the roundabouts, which some people love. That's fine if you love it. Just know that it's there intentionally, because you can't speed through it. Like you can speed through a red light and it slows down traffic. And so all of these activities like taking away car lanes and making the lanes smaller, all of this is to restrict our ability to drive. I did that video about the doctor who got a moped because that was the way that he could get to the hospital without being delayed. And that's what they want us to do, be on mopeds and bicycles and walking. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that if it's a choice. That's where I draw the line. And there are those of us that prefer to drive, that need to drive, that have to drive, that want to drive. We don't need to have a reason. We have a right. So, I'll have one funny story. Somebody, Mary says, Costco scans cards now. I go in through the business entry to avoid it. Thank you, Mary. I've not been in Costco since 2020. I wonder why. I tore up my Costco card, cut up my Costco card, and I sent it back to them. Well, I'll tell you what, before I did that, this is years ago as well, I actually was flying like from Orange County to Nashville with visit some cousins. And I was with my family. And I had just gotten my new driver's license. And for some reason, I hadn't put it in my wallet. And there I am at the airport, ready to go through TSA. And I didn't have a picture. I didn't have my driver's license. And I'm like, I can't believe this. And I asked the TSA agent, do you take any other ID? I'm with my family. We're all flying together. And he said, do you have like a government issued ID? Hear what he said, a government issued ID. And I'm rifling through my wallet and I said, well, I have a Costco card, has my picture on it. He let me in with my Costco card. I'm not saying Costco is a government agency, but once I got there, I had to have a neighbor fax me my driver's license. She was watching our pets, so she was able to get in the house. And can you believe that? This is years ago, I flew on a Costco card. Wow. Have times changed? Yes, incremental. Yeah, Hugh also says they started with plastic credit cards and they took away the swipe, then they went to the chip. Now you don't even insert the chip, you just tap, because guess what it's going to be next? It's going to be tapping your finger, waving your hand. They're already doing that at Whole Foods and other places, Whole Foods owned by Amazon. And who says, I can't stand the purple street lights. I'm going to be doing a video about the lights. They're blinding. The car lights are blinding. The bright lights that do not cast any glow. They're just bright, but there's no ambient light. Notice that in your own neighborhood. I see an area where there's beautiful golden like street lamps, and then there's white ones, and those are harmful to the eyes. They burn the retinas. Speaking from someone that had damaged retinas, I can tell you that for sure. All right. Thanks everybody for being on board. To Mary's benefit, she said Costco in Texas is a bit more lenient. So yes, many of us in California were completely discriminated against, and there are some places I will never step foot in again. All right, friends, on that happy note, I'm going to be back with you tomorrow, and I really want you to tune in. Friends, have a great rest of the evening. I'm so grateful to have you on board. Thank you to our moderators, Rhonda and Valerie. You're here day in, day out. And we also, from time to time, have Olivia and Ava. I appreciate all of my healthy Americans interacting in the chat. This is a highlight of my day, and I'm glad that you're a part of it. All right. So, be sure to get on that Substack, peggyhall.substack.com, and you can get my written comments that accompany the video.